If you're your own worst critic, your brain is actually trying to protect you. This constant harsh critic feels like sharing a tiny apartment with a roommate who absolutely hates your guts. You might think you just have low self-esteem, or that you are simply too soft to handle the pressure of daily life. But this internal cruelty is actually a highly sophisticated survival strategy gone completely wrong, and once you see the hidden machinery behind this voice, you will finally understand why it speaks up exactly when you are closest to succeeding. This relentless self-sabotage is not a sign of a broken mind, but rather a misguided protective shield developed during your early years to protect you from the pain of rejection. Psychologists call this defense mechanism a preemptive strike, where your brain essentially decides to beat everyone else to the punch by criticizing you first. Internalized protection. Picture yourself as a kid in the backyard at dusk, juggling a soccer ball and counting to 42, only for the ball to slip into the bushes and trigger a sudden, overwhelming wave of self-loathing instead of simple frustration. Instead of letting you walk inside and rest, your brain forces you to stay out there in the dark because it has associated a simple dropped ball with an existential threat to your survival. Your mind operates on an ancient survival code that equates social exile or failure with physical death, so it monitors your every move to ensure you never make a mistake that could disappoint others. By screaming at you for dropping the ball, the voice is desperately trying to whip you into shape so that no one else has the chance to reject you. It is a bizarre form of internal insurance. If you punish yourself first, you control the pain, making the eventual criticism from the outside world feel far less shocking. But this protective shield carries a hidden, devastating tax that actually forces you to recreate the exact failures you are desperately trying to avoid. Consider how this plays out in your professional life, where you might pull off a flawless presentation, only to spend the entire drive home obsessing over a single 3-second pause in your speech. You ignore the applause and the compliments because your inner critic actively filters out positive feedback, viewing safety not as something to enjoy, but as a temporary state of high alert. This creates an exhausting loop where the more successful you become, the louder and more vicious the voice gets because the stakes of making a mistake feel incredibly high. However, the most shocking part of this mental trap is that your brain actually releases a subtle chemical reward when you beat yourself up. When you criticize yourself, you activate the amygdala, your brain's alarm center, which floods your system with stress hormones to prepare you for a fight. But because there is no physical enemy to fight, your brain resolves this tension by taking control of the narrative, giving you a false sense of power over your flaws. You feel a strange sense of relief when you agree with the critic, because admitting you are bad feels safer than living with the unpredictable anxiety of being vulnerable. This leaves you trapped in a cycle of self-inflicted pain, begging the question: how do you disarm a bully that lives inside your own head without losing the drive that keeps you moving forward? The secret to quietening this inner tyrant is not to wage a mental war against it, force positive thoughts, or try to ignore it entirely, because fighting only signals to your brain that there is an active threat to defend against. Instead, you have to recognize that this harsh voice is actually an anxious, younger part of your own mind that has been working exhausting double shifts for years, using the only crude tools it has to keep you safe from social rejection. When you stop treating this voice as an evil enemy and instead view it as a deeply tired, misguided protector who is simply terrified of you failing, the emotional weight of insults begins to melt away. This shifts your entire perspective, revealing that the ultimate goal was never to achieve flawless perfection to silence the critic, but to realize that you can listen to its fears without letting them dictate your worth. The next time you drop the ball and that familiar voice starts to scream, remember it is just a tired protector wearing a scary mask. When did your inner critic first start speaking up, and what is it actually trying to save you from?